Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my DIY homemade gift guide for 2020. Now this is the first of a two-part series. Next week we've got a small business / eco-friendly zero waste gift guide, and also of course you can check out last year's as well, which I'll put in the description. So if you do like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe so that you never miss another video, especially if you're into sustainability, low impact living, all things cozy and seasonal eating. Now I am very much in the beginning of my DIY journey, so these are just ideas that I personally would love to create or find what are in my capabilities, as well as gifts that I would love to receive. I think particularly this year, it would be lovely to make something that really kind of mends connections, builds joyful experiences, and also gives us that sense of nostalgia of wonderful things that have come before and will definitely come again. But I will leave some links in the description below for more videos that I find personally very entertaining, but also very helpful and practical so that you can take your DIY homemade gift guide much further than just this video. Okay, grab a cup of tea and let's get straight into the video. So the first one you probably all know is edible consumables, but fancy. There are so many things that we can make that seem quite difficult, but are actually much simpler and much easier than we once thought. The other day my mum made some biscotti just because she wanted to see how easy or difficult it was, and it was actually really simple. And we put it in this jar and put a little ribbon around it, and actually it looked like such a beautiful gift. And consumables are always such a good idea because it seems very personal because you're making something that's one of those, favorites for someone, but also we know they're going to get eaten, so it's not going to go to waste. I mean, you could also go a step further and make things like macarons or chocolates, wherever your skills lie, or if you just want to get a bit inventive and just try out lots of different things. The other consumables that I personally have enjoyed making and consuming are like fancy mayonnaise, things like truffle mayonnaise, or oils, infused oils with garlic or chili, or something just a little bit more interesting, rosemary from your garden, stuff like that. Or you could even go all out and make all of these different things and create a hamper for a friend or family member. You could put lots of different things like the oils or the chocolates or cookies or brownies, just really indulgent ones, and obviously make sure you're catering to people's dietary requirements. But this could be such a lovely way, especially if you've got a secondhand basket or hamper. This could be such a beautiful gift that's really thoughtful and just a little bit luxury and also nourishing for this time of year. Now the second thing, which is one of my personal favourites, is actually to do with photographs. And there are several different things that you can do. Obviously you can do the traditional photo album and create that for a family member. Or what you can do is go through old photographs that people have, and I did this for my mum, and restore them. So a lot of our family have really old photographs that kind of are faded and things like that. So what you can do is you can scan them onto your computer and use some kind of software. I personally use Photoshop, but there are so many others out there, especially free versions, and you can just restore them by adding little bits that have faded away, and also just kind of preserving that photograph by having it digital. And then if you do preserve it quite well, then of course you can reprint them as well. Another thing that I personally love when it comes to photographs is to create a story and a journal. Now this I personally find a little bit more personal than a photo album, because I love to create something that's very intimate between me and the person I give. So for example, if I was creating one for my best friend, as one of my best friends did for my 17th birthday, got a long time ago now, which I still have as well. You can create this story of your friendship through these photographs. You can add in other things that have, train tickets or movie tickets or these different experiences that you've shared together, and you can go through the decade that you've been friends with them, or 2 decades, 3 decades, and have these different photographs that tell your personal story. Another thing that I have done is I've taken photographs of my nephew since the day he was born. He's now 15 months old, and I could do an album, for the first year of his life, or the second year, or the third year, each year. Or I could just do one from 0 to 18, and that's what I am planning on doing, but that's a very long-term goal. I don't think we should underestimate how powerful photographs can be, especially when we create a story with them through something that we've created. As I said earlier, creating that nostalgia, creating that bank of memories to remind us that, particularly at this time of year, for a lot of people, that we do have positive memories, that we do have things to look forward to, that we do have a future that could be potentially very hopeful. So the possibilities with photographs are personally endless, especially if you have like an instant camera, or if you have a printer where you can print them off, or you can order them from places like Snapfish for like 20p per thing, per tick, or maybe it's even less than that. The next one, which is actually personally one of my favorites, is to embroider, or embroider, is that a word? To do embroidery. One of my friends is really good at this, and she tends to take plain white t-shirts that she has and embroider something very personal onto it. It could be a little message, it could be a quote, it could be a little figurine or something, and she's given them to friends and family. And I personally think this is such a lovely touch, because just creating something or doing something again that's personal between that you and that person creates a different feeling, a different sense when you get that item. If you've never heard of Birdsong, they're an ethical and sustainable fashion company, and they do this really well. They create sort of plainish t-shirts with a beautiful message embroidered on the front. So if you didn't want to buy something, of course you could do that, or you could take some inspiration from lots of different things like Pinterest and stuff like that to see what would, you know, look nice and things. But if embroidery obviously isn't your thing, then you can skip this one. On a similar vein, if you are a knitter, this is a perfect cozy time of year to get knitting for things like socks and scarves and hats, but also other little things if you are particularly talented. Like for example, my sister-in-law's mum, she made some jumpers and cardigans for my nephew, her grandson, and they are just so cute, and they are personalized because obviously she's created them for someone that she loves, and he'll always have them for his children because they're not something you would give away or donate. They're something you would definitely keep for future generations. So knitting, I personally find super cute. You could also knit toys and things like that, or little clothes for toys. Possibilities really are endless. Okay, for my friends who are not good at sewing or knitting, then macrame might be more your kind of cup of tea, or sort of easy skill, because it is really, really simple, and there are so many tutorials on YouTube now about how to do them. These are super easy to make if you want to make like a plant pot holder, because they are particularly popular now, and they're just a lovely little touch that you can add very personal things to, but just something really simple if you just were looking for something easy. Now, if you are a DIYer like I am when it comes to wood, there are so many things you can do with scrap wood that you have. If, for example, you have a friend who's particularly eco-driven, then why not create a bee hotel? Now, it sounds complicated, but really it's just a plank of wood that you like drill holes, different size holes into, so that single or lonely bees can come and lay their eggs and things like that, because they don't have a hive to go back to. Not only is this really important for the climate and for bee, you know, restoration, but it's also just a really nice present that you can make personalized, so it's not just a plank of wood that you're giving someone. You can obviously add things to the top, add their name, paint something on the top, make something a little bit more personal. Or if like me and your friends are quite boozy, then you could also make a wine rack. Again, much more simple than you think. It's just a box and then shove an X in the middle, and it can be really simple. As I said, loads of possibilities and just something really simple. The next one is to propagate some of your flowers. Now, I have quite a few plants that I love, but I also have quite a few plants that my friends have that I really love of theirs. And if they propagated a plant for me from one of their leaves and gave that to me, that would just be such a lovely present, and I would be very, very, very grateful for that. So it might be something that you would like as well, or one of your friends would do, because plants also can be really expensive, and sometimes, I mean, not many of us can afford to buy that many plants, but also having plants in your home can make a world of difference to your environment. So I personally think this is a lovely present. You guys might think it's a bit boring, but it's on my list. Okay, and the last one is if someone's having a bit of a hard time, you know, like nourishing themselves at this time of year with just like good healthy food, something really simple can be making your sort of like favorite soup recipe and putting the dry ingredients in mason jars. Or you could do this for something sweet like cookies, etc., and gift those. You could also put like a bow on them, whatever, to make them seem a bit fancier. But having something like that in your cupboard honestly makes your life so much easier. My boyfriend's dad actually gave me these kind of meals a couple of years ago. He bought them. He's not really a DIYer, but he bought them, and they were ready-made soup kind of recipes, all the dry ingredients, and then you just added water basically, and that was it. And it made this really delicious soup, and it was so great on days when I just couldn't be bothered to make anything, and it just took 5 minutes, and it was just, actually it probably took a lot longer than 5 minutes, but it felt like 5 minutes. So definitely don't underestimate things like this, especially if you are a real baker but you can't really send something that's fresh. So this is also a good option, especially if you have some mason jars lying around that you're not using, or you can also get some from a secondhand shop or something like that too. One of my favorite things on the same kind of vein is to actually create a food journal or a recipe book that's very much personalized to your and the person you're gifting to's kind of relationship to food. So for example, my boyfriend and I have a very specific set of meals that we love to make together and that we have made over the last sort of 7 years. And if I created a cookbook with all of those recipes in and made it very personalized, maybe added in some photographs of the food when we made it or of us, then that would just be, again, creating that nostalgia, creating those beautiful reminders of the memories that you shared together, and, you know, giving hope for the future of when you guys get to spend together that time as well. Again, I think it's really wholesome and I really like it. So of course, there are so many more ideas out there for DIY home gifting, but I just wanted to give you more of a kind of realistic, small approach to these ideas and just really drum home that making them personalized is what's going to make them special for the person that you're making them. As I said before, I'm going to link some videos in the description so that you can see other ideas, more extensive lists, because as I said, DIY is very much, I'm still beginning into this kind of journey, but I love to make food. I love to gift sort of slightly special edible things, and I'm definitely going to be making that photo album sort of journal and also that recipe album, so I'm pretty excited to make those. This year I think we all want to be reminded of those connections that we have and mend them in some way if we've lost touch. So I reckon the more personal the gift, the better. Okay, that's it from me today. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week for my small business / eco-friendly gift guide. But also this weekend I am raising money for Crisis at Christmas by walking 75 kilometers in 24 hours. Again, if you would like to donate, I'll put it down below, or you can just check out the video on Sunday and see how I go. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.